I'm Kathy Baptista, creative director and founder of Kathy Baptista Creative Studio, a brand and design studio that creates bold, unique branding for creative businesses and entrepreneurs. In this video, we're taking a deeper look into the visual identity that we developed for our client, Lorelei. Lorelei is a wine bar in Orlando, Florida that blends cozy elegance with a curated wine experience, offering a one-of-a-kind atmosphere. Designed as an inviting space for those who enjoy exploring wines and Mediterranean flavors, Lorelei provides a relaxed and refined setting that encourages discovery and enjoyment. Because the space was already under construction and the interior design was already established, we had to develop a brand identity that worked within that space. So that motivated a lot of our creative decisions. So, who is Lorelei? According to German Tale, Lorelei is the story of a beautiful maiden who threw herself into the Rhine River out of despair from her faithless lover. Now she lures fishermen out into sea and into destruction with her siren song. So, we developed an illustration of this beautiful maiden. We didn't want to be too literal and create a mermaid, but we did want to create a mysterious woman of sorts. We have her hair flowing in the wind in this illustrative style that kind of evokes waves and kind of pays homage to the maritime influence. What's funny is that a lot of businesses, when they are selling or they're producing something like wine, for example, they usually will ask for something very literal, like a wine glass for their logo. And we didn't want to do that. We wanted to create something original, but we did want to put a subtle touch of a wine glass. So we have Lorelei holding a wine glass in a very mysterious, contemplative nature. I think it really plays well to the mystery, discovery, exploratory nature of the brand. We paired the illustration with this hand lettered type for the logo, and it really just feels warm, inviting, and personal. It even brings in a slightly more feminine aspect to the logo that really combines well with the illustration. It feels organic, but it also feels refined and elegant. For the color palette, we were really inspired by Mediterranean and Florida environments. These are things that really inspired the entire brand. So we wanted to bring that into the color palette as well. So we were really inspired by sand, water, flora from Florida, and just really trying to incorporate that in the color palette as much as possible. So the color palette is both bold, but also neutral, still very refined and still very sophisticated. We have the blues inspired by the Florida water, Mediterranean waters, browns inspired by sand and driftwood, yellows inspired by the Florida sun. And we even wanted to incorporate a bit of a pop of color with this light lavender color, just to kind of bring in that sense of mystery to the brand and the color palette as well. Another thing that we pulled from the environments from Florida and the Mediterranean were these textures. We noticed a lot of these textures in architecture in the Mediterranean, as well as in Florida. Florida is really big with limestone, and we just loved this like porous nature of the texture and wanted to see how we can incorporate that into the brand. So, one way that we incorporated into the brand was by making sure that we had a lot of texture in a lot of the brand elements. We knew that they would need a lot of different pieces for their brand as they developed marketing and collateral for their brand. So, we developed these borders that have a lot of that textural element that really align well with the brand identity. We really wanted to incorporate texture in other elements of the brand. And one way that we really wanted to emphasize this is by incorporating texture in a lot of the backgrounds of their compositions, whether it's for social media or their websites. This textural element is subtle enough where it doesn't feel too gritty, but just gives a little bit more of an organic nature to a very elegant brand. Now we can see how all of these pieces, the logo, typography, illustrations, and all the other brand elements come together to create a cohesive and intentional brand identity. Thanks for tuning in on this deep dive into this visual identity. If you like what you see, hit subscribe to see more videos like this, and make sure to follow us on Instagram to keep up with everything about KBCS.